Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for I Know What You Did Last Summer?
The story follows a group of teens who are celebrating their friend winning a beauty pageant. They are driving along the road one night, drunk, and accidentally run over a fisherman. They dispose of his body thinking that he's dead, and a year later, Julie, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, returns to her hometown to meet up with her friends. But somebody is stalking them because they know what they did last summer.
Scream, Wes Craven's Scream is that bookmark, that point where the horror industry changed completely. And, the horror slasher genre had definitely waned throughout the late 80s and into the early 90s.
Yeah.
And modern versions of those staples of horror were poor, weak imitations until Scream mixed up that formula and made it smart, made it accessible as well to older, enthusiastic horror fans, as well as new teens, new blood, essentially, that would experience the horror genre after Scream and go and find out what came before it.
Mm-hmm.
Scream was also written by I Know What You Did Last Summer's writer, Kevin Williamson, who would also go on to write Scream 2, Scream 4, and was also well known for his Dawson's Creek TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Scream also spawned a slew of imitation films in its wake. Films like Urban Legend, Faculty, Valentine, Cherry Falls. Even Halloween had a resurgence with Halloween H2O in the wake of Scream's success. And I Know What You Did Last Summer was rushed almost immediately into production. And it came out so close after Scream that at the time I didn't even consider this a Scream imitation.
Really?
For me, it was on the same level as Scream. It's only now, all these years later, that I can look back at it and go, yeah, you were the first Scream imitator.
Yeah.
But you did it on such a good level that it would seem like all of the others were imitating both of these two that were both jockeying for slasher franchise. Only one of them would go on and still go on to this day, whereas the other one kind of fell by the wayside by its second sequel.
Yeah. I didn't watch I Know What You Did Last Summer the first time it came round, mainly because, maybe this is my problem, but I'd followed nigh on 20 years of horror movies leading up to the release of Scream. I remember a group of friends saying, hey, we've got this new horror movie, I want to sit down and watch it. Iain, you like scary movies? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And we sit down and watch Scream, and 30 minutes into it, I'm like, that's the killer.
You're such a little lapdog. He's got killer printed all over his forehead.
I like Scream. I like the ideas behind it, and I like what they were going with. The bringing slasher movies back. But the fact that I had sat through some of what we would consider the greatest horror movies ever made, that Scream, for me, was the first poor imitation of those movies. And so I Know What You Did Last Summer came out, and I was like, I'm not watching that. Why not? Because it's everything that we strive not to watch in horror movies. A group of teens go out of their way to do something stupid, and a guy comes along with some kind of weapon and starts fucking them up. So I'm just not even going to put myself in that position. I'm actually going to go off and watch some Japanese horror movies, because at that time I hadn't delved into that realm, and I'm glad, because I was introduced to some of the Japanese horror extremes, and they were so much better.
I can tell you why I went straight away for I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that was Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh yeah.
Season 1 of Buffy had just started at the same time as this film, and so I think both kind of elevated Sarah Michelle Gellar's fame.
But didn't she
at that time?
Didn't she do this I Know What You Did Last Summer at the same time that she was doing Scream 2? And I saw Scream 2 And I still hadn't watched I Know What You Did Last Summer. And knowing that she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer, that pushed the film even further down for me, that their main star was in their kind of rival movie and was actually doing a better job in that, even though she dies. I was just like, all right, I'm still done. But we were asked to review this. And so, as I do with all my films, I sit down, fresh-faced, ignoring all of the experience I've had leading up to films, and just go in with a clean slate. And it just... First off, okay, there's a guy sat on a cliff having a drink, and then it's gone. The camera's gone onto the fireworks. What's that? Why is he there? Who is he?
You're just establishing that there is someone who would appear to be contemplating suicide as he's, flicking his coin. Maybe he's like heads or tails, whatever it'll be. And it cuts to the cliff face and the rocks and the waves crashing down below. So instantly you're like, he's contemplating jumping.
Who is he? Why is he there? Why is he contemplating suicide?
Well, those are great, interesting hooks to get you into the film.
Hooks. I like what you did there. But, right, I will bring that up later on because, that's my issue. Then we cut to the teens, and okay, yeah, one of my favourite scenes comes up with Sarah Michelle Gellar in a swimsuit. That's pretty good, but I don't like teens that you just don't like from the start. At least let me like them. Let me enjoy their characters until something bad happens to them. We've got Phillippe playing Barry.
He's definitely the biggest douchebag in the film.
Oh, massively. He's just over the top. Phillippe is just over the top in all the scenes.
There's no good redeeming quality about him whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you kind of wonder how this group of friends would keep him around.
Because
it's kind of like
money.
Because he's the boyfriend of Sarah Michelle Gellar's character.
Well, but this is the thing. I mean, you've got Jennifer Love Hewitt playing Julie, the innocent virginal character. She might as well have virgin written across the fucking top of her head. And then you've got Freddie Prinze Jr. playing Ray, who's Julie's boyfriend, and he's the nice guy. He's all right.
Well, I kind of liked his character too. He's the poor boy. He's the one who's been downtrodden, doesn't know what happened to his father, and
exactly. And then obviously we've got Sarah Michelle Gellar playing Helen. 3 of these characters are rich, and are so happy to be rich, and use their money to get to the top of the fucking popular ranking in school, and Ray is the poor boy, and they just keep him around because he's Julie's boyfriend, and this is their little close circuit friends. Yeah, don't like him from the start. I just don't. Sorry. They go to the beach. They have a few drinks. Right, okay. So we know the rules from Scream, which had just come out, not to have sex or drink in a horror movie. So what do these guys do? Break the first 2 rules in the first 15 minutes. Okay, fine. Let's just go with that.
What annoyed me about the intro to this film is that the 4 of them are sat on the beach, and they decide to talk about an urban legend about a hooked killer.
No. That's not the way it goes. Okay, the boy goes for help, and the girl stays in the car, and she hears this scratching sound.
It's not a scratching sound. It's a drip.
And I'm sure everyone watching this review has already heard the story in all of its variations, whether it was a decapitated body dripping blood, or whether it was the hook left in the car.
The babysitter wandered upstairs to listen to the kid, and we all saw Urban Legend, which came out a year after this movie, and was actually better. But that's it. Julie's like, yeah, Ray, and maybe we should just do it here on the beach, and the camera goes off, and now they're all going back to the car, and they're all so happy, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. I've watched Halloween. I've watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Those films are fucking just making this film look so bad, but I'm trying. I really am trying to go with this. So they all get in the car. They've all had a few drinks. Ray decides that Barry can't drive. Really? Why is that? Because he's fucking drunk. And so they get into the car, and Barry, in all of his great fucking wisdom, decides to stick his head out the top of the car while drinking and whooping. So they're driving late at night, they've had a few drinks, and you know something bad's going to happen. So what am I supposed to like about these characters? But they crash into the guy. You know, it's the main point of the story. You know, they crash into the guy, and they're immediately making me again not like them, because now the point comes out that three of them are rich and one of them's poor, and this is going to destroy their lives and ruin them, and Barry doesn't want to live with it, and he doesn't think Helen should live with it, and Julie should obviously agree with them, and Ray's the only and I'm like, you've just killed a guy in the middle of a road.
Well, none of them actually even checked to see if he is dead yet. None of them checked his pulse.
No!
We're gonna fry no matter who takes the fall.
Can we leave right now?
No way, are you crazy?
The grill's busted. There's blood everywhere.
We can clean it up. Come on.
Listen to yourselves. No, we are going to the police.
We don't have time for your shit!
You know, they're all questioning, well, what's a fisherman doing out here late this night? It's his fault. It's his fault he's in the middle of the road. It's not our fault that we were driving drunk late at night.
Oh shit, look, there's a car coming. Let's quickly hide the body over here.
Yeah. And we're introduced to Max, played by Johnny Galecki from The Big Bang Theory. And we'd already seen Max trying to woo his way to Julie earlier in the film. Another thing that I fucking hated, because Julie just... Oh, God. Oh, Max, we're such good friends. I don't think we should actually go out. Oh, but here comes my buddies to come along and bully you and push you around. But I'm not going to do anything to stop them because I'm too fucking good for that. Fuck you, Julie. But Max sees them and he's wondering what they're up to. And they're all trying to play nice. And Max is just like, fuck you guys. And drives off. And... misses the whole point that they've just hit a body.
Let's just pretend he's some escaped lunatic with a hook for a hand and we're doing everybody a favor.
So they decide that, the best way to get around this is to hide the body in the ocean. Obviously, they're on the cliff edge. Let's just drive down and stash the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's not dead yet, because he manages to grab hold of Helen's crown, and then he sinks into the ocean. And Barry jumps in after him, and I'm like, it was pretty dark outside, yet it's kind of pretty well lit down here.
Yeah.
But he manages to find the body and grabs hold of the crown, and he's still not dead.
Oh, so shocking.
So he grabs hold of the crown and swims to the surface and leaves him there again. Like, now he's dead, right?
Yeah, but exactly. At least in every other horror movie leading up to this point, I kind of liked the main characters, because they were kind of innocent. They didn't do anything fucking stupid or bad. These guys have literally killed a guy and disposed of his body within the first 20 minutes of the film. 15, 20 minutes of the film. And I'm supposed to feel like they're innocent in all this? I'll get to that bit. A year later, Julie is in college, but she's looking a little bit worse for wear, because... obviously, she's living with the guilt of what her and her friends had done the previous summer. And now she's just been convinced by her flatmate to head back to her hometown and enjoy the 4th of July celebrations. Yay! Celebrate our Independence Day. She gets back there and, reintroduces herself to everybody. She goes back and meets Sarah Michelle Gellar, who had all these great prospects of going to New York. And realised that once she got there, it was pretty shit. So she came back, and now she's in this dead-end job working with Sonya Blade. It's her sister, but the actress plays Sonya Blade, if you didn't get that. And obviously she pops around and she sees Ray. He's working on a fishing boat. And they seem to have had a bit of a turmoil in their relationship at some point, because now they're not together anymore. Maybe it's because you disposed of a dead body the year before. And they go and meet Barry as well. And Barry's just a douche.
No change there then.
Yeah. But Julie's starting to get notes saying, I know what you did last summer. And so she's looking to investigate it. What the fuck? Right? Okay? We had problems with Halloween. With the fact that Michael Myers would take like a year out and do nothing. and come back in Halloween to kill off people. You could kind of accept it because it's Michael Myers' fucking holiday. Are you trying to tell me that the fisherman's holiday from I Know What You Did Last Summer is the 4th of fucking July? Mm-hmm. That he's gonna swim out of the fucking ocean, right, after being disposed, and wait 365 fucking days until he knows Julie's gonna return.
Kind of lucky that she did come back.
Yes, it's very lucky. He's had 365 days to kill all of our fucking friends in our town because none of them have fucking left. But he hasn't. He's waited for Julie to return so that he can kill them all off. No. Because he's got to go through all the fucking stupid stalking notion.
There are some ridiculous moments in this film where the killer is he's just toying with them, but I'm like, but really? Like, you're literally going to wait until the 4th of July, so you're just going to terrorize them for 2 days building up to it?
Yeah, what?
You see the point where he sneaks into Helen's house, and you see him pull out the hook, and you're like, right, he's going to kill the whole family.
Oh, fucking yeah.
You see him disappear upstairs, and I'm like, oh, he's going to get her in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And he hides in the closet. And then we get this ridiculous sequence with the two sisters, and she's like, oh, your ridiculous hair. And she leaves. And then I'm like, okay, the killer's going to... It's next morning.
Yeah, he's going to gut her in bed, and the sister's going to find her and be like, oh my God. No, what's he do? He cuts Helen's hair. What? What? You waited until she went to sleep, cut her hair, and snuck out? Oh, don't forget, he wrote soon on the fucking mirror.
Yeah, but that was $300 lipstick.
This is like Barry. He fucking gets hold of Barry's car and runs him down. Fucking knocks him down with the car and knocks him out so Barry can go to hospital. I honestly, I tried. I really, really tried. But the only hook-handed killer that I actually have any respect for is the Candyman.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the Fisherman is not even in my fucking top 10 of best killers. And this film did nothing. There was one kill that was really, really good. And like we said, you had Johnny Galecki playing Max. And we were reintroduced to Max when Julie came back into her hometown. And he gets killed by the Fisherman. He did nothing. He did nothing to the Fisherman. But the Fisherman comes along, gets the ice hook, and jams it into Max's mouth. And it looked fucking awesome. And so I was like, I hope the rest of the film's like this. No. He uses a car to hit Barry and lets him live. He cuts the hair off of Helen and lets her live. And then both of their deaths are worthless. You literally see nothing. I mean, yes, okay, the suspense and build-up of him stalking them and the investigation, because like I said, going back to the guy on the cliff, you start to find out that the guy on the cliff supposedly committed suicide, and so Julie starts to think that he faked his own death and is stalking them now because he's the guy that they hit with the car. No, it's not. Because you get that whole stuff with Anne Hesh, and they go to Anne Hesh's house. Like I said, maybe it's me. I've watched a lot of horror movies, but that was over the top horror cliches to the max.
Definitely. I mean, she just still happens to have the fisherman's jacket hanging up on the stand, which Helen bumps into. You know, there's that ridiculous moment where she bangs on the car window and goes, "Hey, you've got your cigarettes." I'm like, who does that?
Yeah.
Unless you're in a horror movie and you need a jump scare.
That's it. They walk around the house. I literally thought they were going to walk in a room with like skeletons on the lamps and stuff. You know, like she lives in Ed Gein's fucking basement or something. And it's just the darkness, the lighting, the nervousness of the teens. I was just like, what horror movie am I in now? Because, maybe I've seen this trope be reused too much. And this is where it actually started from. But it just seemed I like Anne Hesh. She's a good actress. Maybe not in Psycho, but she was just playing this odd sister character to the guy that we saw at the beginning who'd supposedly killed himself or has killed himself.
Well, it turns out that he did kill himself after he was responsible for accidentally killing this other girl who turns out to be our fisherman's daughter. So our fisherman killer was up on the cliff face that night, killed the boy who had killed his daughter, and was then run over by our collection of teens in this film to exact revenge on them next. That's it.
What? You basically just exonerate these teens for doing a hit and run by making your killer a murderer already. So it's a good thing they hit him with the car? No, it's not. What they did was still wrong. But just because he killed a guy who killed his daughter, he's gonna wait a fucking year for all of these kids to come back so that he can kill them.
He waited a whole year to kill him because it was a year before that he'd killed the daughter. So he's.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
So we have the second beauty pageant, and Helen has to sit there and watch the whole display. And I kind of think it's weird that we saw the previous year's beauty pageant and the previous winner didn't have to sit there throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so she sees the killer up in the rafters behind Barry, and she screams, and nobody believes her, and Barry's gone.
Oh, so bad.
So then Helen goes on a wild chase around the streets, and just before she's about to reach the second parade of the evening, the killer jumps out between some tires and pulls her away, and we see the hook maybe kill her. I don't know. We find her corpse later, so we know she didn't get away.
But that's the thing. Between Barry getting killed and Helen getting killed, the fisherman killed a police officer and Helen's sister. Both those deaths are better than the main character's deaths.
Yeah, because you don't see nothing. So there's also been this whole setup as to maybe Ray is also the killer.
Oh my god, why?
Because he's working on a fishing boat and, has this connection with the other character.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe. And so Helen's scared, and this other helpful fisherman's like, get on the boat, there's a telephone in there.
I bet you he's the killer.
Just so happens to be the killer.
Oh my god!
He leaves Ray laying there on the ground, and we see Julie inside looking around at the killer's picture collection, and somehow he's managed to get a printed picture of Helen from the parade earlier that day. After going around and doing all these killings, he still managed to get a picture printed and put it.
What the fuck?
And so he chases Julie around the boat, and she hides in the salt room, the ice room, and she sees the other bodies, and she screams.
Oh god, those bodies were really, really bad, weren't they? I mean, I wondered who they were at first, and then I'm like, oh, that's right, we haven't found Barry or Helen's bodies yet, so yeah. Mm.
So Ray manages to get on a boat, get over to the other boat, and then gets distracted by Julie shouting for him and gets knocked back off the boat. Then he manages to climb around and then get back onto the boat to save Julie one more time. And this is the thing that annoyed me. He grabs this sort of the metal hook and swings it at him. And I'm like, that's a pendulum, right?
Yeah.
And Ray's at this platform up here.
Yeah.
The killer's down here, and the pendulum would swing
over his head, yeah.
Right, but somehow it managed to swing and catch him right in the face. I was like, okay.
That was so stupid. It was like, bonk.
And, and then the killer gets up again, because of course he's not dead.
Yeah, he's not dead.
And he tells her, next time you kill someone, make sure they're dead. And the irony is, he gets caught in the ropes and goes flying up, and his hand gets severed, and he gets flung overboard. And the cops later on find the severed hand with the hook.
Yeah.
And you're like, where's the body?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he'll wash up soon.
Yeah. So bad.
The body will turn up. They usually do.
I have a couple of memorable sequences from the film. You know, like, these are just the stupid parts where Julie's gone to Helen's place and she opens the back of the car.
Yeah.
And Max's body's in there, covered in crabs. So she screams and closes the boot down and runs in. Helen, you have to come out to look at my car. And they come out and look at the car, and there's no body, there's no crabs, and it is clean inside.
It was an amazing
immaculate
shot, isn't it?
I'm like, the killer managed to get the body, the crabs, and clean it up in like 5 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
Like that's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm not buying it. Like
Yeah.
there has to be another killer. Surely there's another killer. And I really like Max's death. Like you said, it was really efficient. The whole setup, the hook being left in the ice, then disappearing, the camera work, the music, the lighting, the brutality and the efficiency of the kill. I appreciate that. It was the only good kill in the film. Maybe the police officer.
Yeah, police officer was good.
But there is one other ridiculous moment where we're in the jewelry store and Helen, who's working there, is trying to hide away from the killer.
Yeah.
And the killer's put on this plastic wrapping and he stood there next to the other mannequins.
So stupid.
And he jumps out at her. You're like, oh, jump scare. But then Helen really easily gets away because the killer's wrapped himself in fucking plastic. Like, numpty, what are you going to do? They're memorable moments because they're pretty stupid.
Yeah. Few of my favourite scenes. Sarah Michelle Gellar in a swimsuit at the beginning. It's pretty fucking awesome. I really like Max's death as well. It's like the best one, but at the same time completely ridiculous because Max did nothing to the fisherman.
It's alright, I really don't like Big Bang Theory, so it got a big applause from me.
Fuck you. And I did kind of like the moment with Sarah Michelle Gellar, Anne Hesh, and Jennifer Love Hewitt in the house investigating the mystery behind the killer. And mainly because, as stupid as the film is, and like I said, maybe it's just me, my experience with horror movies, being able to spot a cliche a mile away, and all that kind of stuff. You could see that the actors were trying to work their craft. You know, Ryan Phillippe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Anne Hesh, even Johnny Galecki have all gone off to do great things in their future. And so, with that in mind, when I watched this film, I just thought of them as that. You know, their characters are completely ridiculous, but the acting, they were really trying, you know, because they wanted to use this as a stepping stone to further their career, to pay their bills, to buy houses, to have families, to have a life. And so I cannot hate on them for that. I do hate everything else in this film. The whole setup with the fisherman is completely ridiculous. Like I said, he's not even in my top 10 of killers. You know, just the whole mystery behind it is it's worn out. You know, like Gary said, having a body in the boot, you're like, oh my God, you could have just faded and left it. But to have her go off and then come back 5 minutes later and everything to be cleaned away? What was the killer just stood behind her with a fucking Hoover? Like, you go, I'll clean this up, don't worry. You know, and then the whole, the deaths of Barry and Julie are a waste because you don't see anything. You don't even see any effects on their bodies when they're in the ice towards the end. And then the ending, it's just so stupid. It just sets it up for a sequel, and badly. You know, Scream did it better. Kill your killer at the end and have him come back, or have somebody else come back.
Yeah.
But we've got to do the sequel, haven't we?
Yeah. You know, I kind of think it's interesting that I know what he did last summer was based on a book of the same name.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to, yeah.
I think it was Lois Duncan, and she hates this film.
Yes.
And says that this is my book in name only in the film version.
Yeah, I wikied the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it was released in 1973.
The kids confess to the police at the end.
And it's so much better, you know, because they don't hit a guy, they hit a small child, and they're living with the guilt and all that kind of stuff. And there's a character stalking them who happens to be connected to the boy. The book is so much better.
But it's not a slasher because nobody dies.
No. Yeah, nobody dies.
I also think it's interesting that it was shot in 50 days, you know, in the rush to get it out straight after Scream. I think it's interesting they only had a budget of 17 million, but grossed more than $72 million. You know, it was a huge hit, financial hit. And so, of course, the sequel was rushed right out the door right after this one. I do and I don't recommend I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I don't.
You know, I like the actors and the actresses in the film. I've been a big fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar throughout her horror career, even Jennifer Love Hewitt into Ghost Whisperer.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Phillippe, you know, I remember him in Cruel Intentions, also with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
He was really good in Crash.
Yes,
he was
very
really
good in Crash. Freddie Prinze Jr., you know, I only remember from the Scooby-Doo movies, also with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and they were atrociously difficult to watch.
Yeah, but he voices Kanan in Star Wars Rebels.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think, yeah, his now, as a voice actor, is so much more than his actual on-screen presence, because he was a teenage heartthrob at the time.
Do you hate him because he's boning Sarah Michelle Gellar?
No. Damn it.
I had no idea her breasts were so vampy.
Dude, she does these exercises, pump them up.
Guys, hi. I'm on sexist overload as it is. Kill the commentary.
You know, if you're a horror enthusiast, you've probably stumbled across this one.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Scream imitator. It has aged badly. You know, the no mobile phones. You know, the tried and tested formula of storytelling within the horror genre. It's a slasher with a body count of 6. You don't get to see all of the gore. The acting is fine. The music is fine. The cinematography is good. The lighting and tone and atmosphere is all there. But it's not aged very well. And
yeah, it's a bunch of good ingredients, but the taste is just not.
I would say that this film, when it came out for me, was way above average. Looking at it now, I would say this is a now below average slasher film. There's so much better out there that's come before and after this film.
Yeah. I don't recommend it. It's not a very good horror movie. I just don't.
I Know What You Did Last Summer? Ooh, what a crock of shit.
So let's move on to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which came out in 1998, directed by Danny Cannon, whose only other major film that I'd recognise is Judge Dredd from 1995. So, let's see. You know, it's kind of like that poor bastard. He made that film and now he's being punished.
Yeah.
Because he has a big break of not directing anything, and then it's like, here, have this sequel. You know, they actually asked Peter Jackson if he would direct this film, and, you know...
he gave them a big fat no!
You know, interestingly, this film also has a bigger budget than the last film. They upped it to 24 million.
Oh, God.
However, this film only ever made 39 million. I think the critical reviews and the reception to this film was so bad that people stopped going to see it. And it would be a long time before this film would actually get a sequel. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for I Still Know?
Fucking hell. Right, okay. So, a year after the last summer vacation, Julie is in college and is still having nightmares that the fisherman is out there. Well, obviously, because they didn't find his body. Julie and her friend Carla, played by the singer Brandy, have just won a competition to go to the Bahamas for the weekend. And so they do. And just so happen to get there during hurricane season. They find out that they are the only ones on the island, along with their 2 male counterparts. And the fisherman turns up and starts hunting them down. Badly.
You know, the last film ended with I Still Know written on the steamed glass.
Yeah.
And the killer broke through it and attacked her. And we soon find out in this one that that's now just a recurring nightmare.
I had another dream. Well,
The one in the shower?
no, in a church.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So, you know, and for the first 25 minutes watching this film, I was like, this could be an interesting angle to actually follow a survivor of brutal killings and see her suffering the stress, the post-traumatic stress of it all. I've said this about quite a few slasher films where, you know, the final girl survivor, how does she mentally cope with everything that's happened, the loss of all of her friends or family? How does the psyche try to go back to normal life?
I'll tell you how.
And
Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween 2. That's what you should watch.
Yeah, and so some you know, it's interesting to see it portrayed by different characters and different actresses.
Yeah.
But this film just kind of plays it up like, oh, Julie, you're just seeing things. Oh, Julie, for fuck's sake, are you talking about that killer again? I'm like, these are your friends. Fuck them. They do not care about your psychological well-being. You know, you're seeing this killer. You need psychiatric help to help you recover.
Yeah, she has a nightmare in the first 20 minutes and screams in class, and everyone just goes, ha 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 ha, and she just walks out. And she's worried that she's failing college. Not that her friends were murdered the year before. You know, that's just something to get over.
And it also seems now that her relationship with her boyfriend Ray is also back on the rocks, as he's back doing his fishing job and she's away at college and he can't always come and visit her. And when he does, she's too busy with her friends or studying or sleeping.
Yeah, and she's got this relationship with this guy called Will, you know, who really wants to get with her, and Ray's a bit jealous and he wants her to come back to the hometown, but she can't because obviously the murders the year before. And, oh, I'm so afraid, Ray. I'm so afraid. Oh my God, this one was so bad. Like, really fucking bad. Like, the cliches were so in your face. And like I said, I tried to watch this one fresh. I wiped the slate clean, but in my mind I'm like, ah! And then they win the competition. The guy rings them up. Hey, what's the capital of Brazil? So Julie, you know, being a college student that she is and studying so hard, grabs a fucking coffee granule fucking bag from the cupboard and goes, Rio de Janeiro! Rio de Janeiro! Oh, it's Rio! You've won! Hey! Yay! Excitement! I'm like, you're so fucking stupid. You all deserve to die.
So Helen rings her boyfriend. She's like, hey, you know, I couldn't spend time with you, but will you come to the Bahamas with me? And he's just like, no.
I'm fucking working.
You're like, I can't even get there in time. She's like, well, please try. You know, you can tell that Ray's just like, yeah, no, I'm calling out. He wants out of this relationship. It seems like he's done with the baggage of her and her mental problems.
Well, no, because he's got the wedding ring, isn't he? He was been planning to marry her. And that's why he wanted her to come back to the hometown. I think he
was planning on it, but I definitely got a sense of that he was maybe unsure as to whether he wanted to pursue the relationship, especially the way he stormed off after his first encounter with her in the film.
Yeah.
I'm just like, maybe he's just looking for an excuse to get away.
Yeah.
Contemplating whether he should or shouldn't marry her.
Well, he's probably sick and tired of fucking saving her ass. You know?
And so he eventually gets convinced by his best friend, fuck it, and go to the Bahamas with her. You know, you've caught Dick All fishing, so go. So they're in the car and they're driving, and the killer turns up and kills his best friend, and then chases Ray, and Ray gets knocked off the side.
I fucking hated it in the first one, and I fucking hate it now. I mean, seriously, killer, fisherman, you've waited a whole fucking year to try and get your fucking hands on these people, and what do? Hand, yes. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Your hook on these people. You kill Dave really, really good. Just like Max in the first movie. And what do? You chase Ray down in his own truck and knock him off the road and knock him out. So why don't you just go down there and hook his fucking head off? Because you know if you don't do that, he's gonna fucking turn up again.
But it's not the 4th of July yet.
Oh, God damn it!
That is bullshit. Bullshit.
You know, I was looking at the film, and when I saw the plane in flight, I was like, is this just going to be a quick shot of the plane and then just them in the Bahamas? But no, they actually got an interior plane shot as well.
Yeah. And you got that little joke of Will, because they've decided to bring Will with them. Will, Tyrell, Carla, and Julie are all going to the Bahamas. Tyrell, you might recognise it as Mekhi Phifer, who I recognise from Dawn of the Dead, the remake. He's quite a good actor. They're inside the plane, and Will's like, whoa, oh, some people can't fly. Get on the fishing boat. Tyrell's like, whoa, oh, some people can't go on the fishing boat. I'm like, this is for 12-year-olds. This series of these films are for fucking 12-year-olds. You know, 12-year-olds who haven't been shown Saw and fucking Halloween and some of the fucking greats.
But speaking of the greats,
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Combs is running this hotel in the Bahamas, and I'm like, sweet, you're all gonna die because the reanimator is right there. It's like, that guy is amazing. So I was so happy to see him in this film.
Well, it's like you said, Peter Jackson was asked to do it, and Jeffrey Combs would turn up as the FBI agent in The Frighteners, which is such a better film.
Of course.
But Jeffrey Combs, Mr. Brooks, tells them all, oh yeah, you've won the chance to come to this hotel, but it's hurricane season.
So everyone's leaving today. Except some skeleton crew staff.
I'm like, what? You're gonna let people stay in a hotel during hurricane season? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm watching fucking weather reports of what's going on in the Caribbean and fucking over in America. That place is getting fucked up. And you're just gonna let 4 fucking teens run around a hotel during hurricane season? It was such a bad Shining reference. It's like, yeah, here's a whole empty hotel for you to walk around. Hope nothing bad happens. But the killer's there. Somehow the fisherman has, managed to get a fucking plane ticket and a chartered boat. Nobody's questioned why there's a 6-foot fucking fisherman with a one hand and a hook making his way to this fucking island.
Well, just like the previous film where, as soon as it's nighttime, all the residents of the town are gone.
Yeah.
They're every single one of them at the parade. So when people are running around screaming for help, there's no one there.
No.
And so now, at least in this one, they are isolated and there is no one there.
Well, there's a few of the fucking workers, isn't there? There's the little maid woman who gets murdered. Why is the fisherman happy to kill just people who aren't even connected to him, but the actual people he's trying to murder, he lets live? Oh God! It's like you meet Zachary Lamb, played by I think it's Bill Coombs.
Yeah,
I'll always remember him as Zachary Lamb from Demolition Man, and yeah, he's got Julie's toothbrush and is performing voodoo. What? Why?
Well, it turns out that he's actually trying to cast a protective spell over the teens because he feels like they are all in trouble.
Oh, well. But one of my favourites is Titus, Jack Black. Oh God. If there was one reason to watch this film, it's Jack Black and his fucking spider hair. And him just trying to sell weed to everybody who's walking past them. It's just so fucking funny. I mean, his scenes, like the jacuzzi scene, Tyrell is trying his best throughout this whole movie to shag Carla. And he's just not getting anywhere. And when Jack Black appears in the water and he's got that wet little doobie in his mouth, I was just like, I shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be enjoying this film like this. But I like Jack Black.
I think if you're a big fan of Jack Black, he will, he's going to raise an eyebrow when you're watching this film because it's like, is he playing himself? He's uncredited in this film as well. But he has quite a few memorable moments. Even his death is ridiculous, where he gets his hand impaled and he's like, no, please stop it. Please don't do that. Like,
yeah,
what?
And the guy jams him with garden shears.
Yeah, right through his chest.
Right through the chest.
Seriously, don't do that! Oh, God, Jesus! No!
Oh, it's all good.
So, the killer is just going around murdering everybody around Julie and leaving dead bodies hanging in her cupboard. Once again, just like the fucking crab scene in the first one, she sees the body, runs outside, tells everyone, they run inside, and the killer has moved the body and cleaned up all the blood. Okay, I could gather in this isolated hotel there might not be that many, but in the first one it was shit. Okay, so why relive it again? The familiar tropes, try and do something different. But Julie is on edge. And Herbert West says to her, well, we can't leave. And the phones are down. And the next boat won't be here for the next couple of days. And the radio's only to be used in emergencies. And it's just like, I honestly don't care, Herbert. I want them all to die. But I don't care about the killer either because he's shit.
So the radio's smashed, bodies keep turning up, and so then he's like, well, I know somewhere that might help you. And he leads them all off through the woods to a gravesite. And you see these headstones. And there's one there for Julie.
Yeah, that's the voodoo priest. Yeah, he takes them all out there.
And so it's explained that the fisherman actually resided here at this resort.
Yeah, he worked there for a time. Lived there with his wife and his son and his daughter. And thought that his wife was cheating on him. So he murdered her. And took his children away.
Do you hear me? If you want me back, come and get me. I'm right here. But my grave stays empty.
Julie, this is crazy, all right? The phone lines are down and the boats are gone and there's no way off this island. Yeah, then we fight.
So we've got the mystery now because obviously we know the wife is dead. And we definitely know that the daughter died in the last movie. But where's the son?
It's him, isn't it?
It's him. I even wrote down in my fucking notepad, fuck you, Will, at the start of this movie because he was just that guy. You know, when you see recurring characters come back in movies, you know it's not them. You know? And when you have, I don't like to use it, but when you have token characters come in, like Carla and Tyrell, you know it can't possibly be them. Because they've got no reason to be it. I've seen enough fucking horror movies to know that the guy who is really, really nice and is pining after the innocent fucking main character is usually the fucking killer. That's what ruined Valentine for me when I went and watched that with David Boreanaz. And it's so fucking bad because Will just keeps leaving. Every time Will disappears, the killer turns up. So if you don't spot it a mile away, then you deserve to own. I know what you did, and I still know what you did in your DVD collection. And he keeps disappearing and turning up, He finally comes back at the end of the movie with blood on him, and Julie's like, "Oh my God, Will! Oh my God! Let's clean you up. There's no wound." And he's like, "Yeah, because it's not my blood, bitch." And grabs her and drags her off. And Carla and the bartender are getting attacked by the fisherman and get left for dead. And the fisherman wanders out to the woods. And I turned the film off at this point. I fucking turned it off and had to and reluctantly had to turn it back on again to finish the fucking movie. Because Julie's there like, Will, why? Why are you doing this? Why? And he's like, "Isn't it obvious? I'm Will Benson." Will Benson. The fisherman's real name is Ben Willis. That's the link. I didn't look into it. I don't think it happened in the sequel, but I don't think his last name got brought up at any point. So that big reveal at the end of his name is so fucking stupid. Like, it shifted the fucking fisherman killer and his family like further down my favourite horror characters because of that. You know? I can't even articulate how bad it was. So bad in fact that they just want to kill Julie and throw her into this grave. So you are fucking telling me again, Will Benson, that you waited 365 fucking days of going to university with your fucking target just so that you could convince her and her friend to fly to the Bahamas and kill them on an isolated island with your dad. Your dad had a chance in the first movie to get away with murder, but he didn't. He egotistically went after a bunch of teens for no fucking reason. And so now you're trying to take Julie down for still no reason. Apart from you want a bonding experience with your dad.
Hush now. No more screaming, no more running. It's time to die. Let it go! Let it go.
Has Ray turned up yet to save the day?
Yeah, here he comes.
Oh, what? He's pulling the trigger and does he not know how to fire a gun?
Yeah, he traded in that wedding ring for a gun. Didn't think to fucking test it. Didn't think to work out how to use it. And I shit you not. There's a fucking crappy little fight between Ray and Will. And the dad runs at him. Ah! And Ray gets out of the way and he stabs his own son. He's the most incompetent killer ever.
Which of course gives Julie enough time to pick up the gun and bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
How many rounds?
I think it's 8. I think she shoots him 8 times with that gun. I don't know if that gun carries 8 bullets. It might do. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Pretty sure it only carries 6.
Just fucking die!
Do you think he's dead this time?
Oh, I don't fucking care. Because when I looked on the notes and realised there was a 3rd movie...
Well, yeah, I can tell you now that in the 3rd film, not a one of these cast members reprised their roles. As a matter of fact, the team cast in the 3rd film only references the events in this and its previous film once.
Really?
And as if it was an urban legend.
Oh.
They try to pull off this stunt, which scares a bunch of people because they pretend to be the fisherman killer,
yeah.
Which causes a whole lot of panic, and somebody dies as a result. And so then the real fisherman killer comes back to hunt these teens down
from the dead.
It turns out that he's one of those revenging spirits who hunts down teens who on the 4th of July happen to fuck up in a big way. And he's an actual zombie who has Jason Voorhees-like teleportation abilities.
Oh, God.
And it's also one of the worst pieces of dreck I've ever seen. I would rather watch the latter 4 Hellraiser movies...
Oh, God, yeah.
...than rewatch I Will Always Know What You Did Last Summer. As it is one of the worst pieces of direct-to-DVD dreck you can ever imagine. The only interesting thing is about those films is that all of the kills in that film are so much better than I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Which is just so bad.
Yeah, it's just so bad.
I do think it's interesting. Those, the barmaid. I thought that she would survive the film.
Yeah.
And
no, she doesn't.
In the original script, she was supposed to, and it was Carla who was supposed to die there instead. But during production, they were like, "Oh, let's switch it around a little bit."
Yeah. Such a bad ending. When Carla comes out like, "Let's tell everybody it didn't rain." Well, it's not raining now, Carla. Amazingly, we only just stepped out of the woods and the hurricane is past. That's timing. I did like Tyrell's death. I felt quite bad for Tyrell because he'd gone this whole movie looking to have sex with his girlfriend, and all these different situations end up coming up and stopping him. And then he sat in the kitchen going on about how he hasn't had sex and all this, and he gets killed.
All I know is that this is the worst vacation of my whole life. I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm fucking horny, and personally I haven't seen one goddamn psycho killer.
I'm like, what?
I was like, man, that sucks. That really fucking sucks to be that guy.
You're in a horror movie and you still couldn't get laid?
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
Poor bastard.
I only have one memorable sequence from the whole film.
Yeah.
And it's only because I love the song. And, when you hear it come on the radio when you're driving, you have to karaoke it.
Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road I've ever known.
My favourite scenes, and I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, all revolve around Titus. I thought he was brilliant. He was fun. I didn't like any of the teens. I wanted to, but once again, I'm looking at Julie and I'm like, well, you're definitely going to survive, and well, Ray's definitely going to survive, and everybody else is cannon fodder. The kills are a little bit better than the first movie, but not by a long. That was not by a long shot. You couldn't. You could fucking do anything and beat the kills in the first movie. You know, Herbert West with the machete in his head was fun. The barmaid getting stabbed into the ground was good. Even the fucking maid in the washing machine, even though it was all set up stupidly with the washing machine from the beginning. But Titus, you know, Jack Black, funny as fuck. His appearances, his hair, the way he just kind of walks around and wants to hang out with everybody, and then his kill was pretty good. Everything else was schlock. Don't ever watch I still know what he did last summer, unless you want to watch that Will Benson bit. It's so fucking, and I use this word very lightly, and I apologise if you don't like it, retarded. It is so retarded that somebody as retarded as myself just looks at it and goes, I'm good.
No, I don't recommend this sequel. This is really lackluster. You know, the performances are drab. The set location is not that interesting. You know, the whole storm background is just laughable. The concept, it's a joke. You know,
yeah.
This is so unnecessary. And you can also see that this was the one film that was not written by Kevin Williamson. You know, he was already off writing Faculty and Dawson's Creek and the H2O Halloween film.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I'm not coming back to I Know What You Did Last Summer. You know, he had his success with Scream and is rolling with that.
Yeah.
So, you know, this was really unimaginative. This was made solely as a cash-in on the financial success of the previous film.
Mistaken success of the first film.
Yeah, but you know when a fad is running at full momentum, you know, people are going to put money into it because they're still enjoying that flavor of film.
Yeah.
And no, that flavor turned sour at this point, and it would turn pretty fucking wretched nearly 10 years after with this film sequel. And at this point, the studios are looking at remaking I Know What You Did Last Summer for modern audiences.
Oh my god, just don't make the characters fucking dislikable. Don't use the same fucking tropes. Try to do something. Use the book. Use the book's source material. Go with that. I do not want to see a fisherman hook-handed killer. He's bad. He's very, very bad.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road.
I Know What You Did Last Summer? Ooh, what a crock of shit.